Good luck, gentlemen.
Lucky you.
Welcome, everyone. We will begin in a couple of minutes. We are now waiting for everyone to arrive. We are very happy to receive today's panelists, Paolo Oliva and Ernesto Iadanza, saying hi from Italy. We will begin in a couple of minutes. Thank you for waiting and for your patience. Greetings and welcome everyone to the 2023 IFMBE Clinical Engineering Division's webinar series. My name is Luis Fernández and I will be your moderator for today's webinar entitled Innovation in Clinical Engineering from the Hospital. In today's webinar, CED has the pleasure to host 3 international experts that will share their lessons learned, experiences, and knowledge around the topic of innovation in the clinical engineering field. They are very recognized and distinguished professionals, and I assure you that today's time will be of much value. Before we introduce them and begin today's webinar, let's go over some instructions for today. Each presenter will have 13 minutes for their presentation, and we will save some time at the end for some questions and answers. If you have a question, make sure to use the questions and answers module located in your Zoom platform menu. The panelists will be answering them either live or via the same module. If you have a comment, please use the comment section. This webinar is being recorded and will be placed in CED's website 48 hours after this webinar comes to an end. If you wish to interact with any of the panelists, they will be placing their LinkedIn URL before the webinar concludes so that you can contact them directly. Finally, make sure you follow CED in social media for more educational webinars such as this one. Now, let's introduce our panelists. First, we have Jitendra Sharma from India, Managing Director and Founder CEO of Andhra Pradesh MedTech Zone, AMTZ. Second, we have Ernesto Iadanza from Italy, Senior Assistant Professor at the Department of Medical Biotechnologies at University of Siena, member of IFMBE Administrative Council and Chair of the Council of Societies of the IFMBE. And last but not least, Paolo Oliva from also Italy, Head of the Clinical Engineering Service and Technology Development at Humanitas Research Hospital. Without any further ado, let's begin today's webinar. Paolo, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Luis. I'm going to show you a presentation. Thank you very much, Luis. Good morning to everyone. I don't know if it works, the presentation.
It does. We can see the content.
Okay. Just wait. Okay. It works now? Okay. So let's start. Again, good morning to everyone. Let me say that today is, for me and my hospital, is a great honor to be here. And I also would like to say thank you to the IFMBE Clinical Engineer Division, because give us the possibility to share our way to take care of the technologies that take care. And I'm promised that I'm not going to annoy you with our milestone, with the history of my hospital, but just a quick introduction. And just to say that Humanitas Research Hospital is a young hospital because it was born in 1996. And in 1 year, in 1997, was accredited by National Healthcare Services and offering a public service. In 2023, we opened our research center that now is recognized by all the world. And in less than 20 years from the beginning, from the opening, in 2014, we opened our own university, that is Humanitas University, medical doctor, nursery, and physiotherapy. In last December, we were recognized by National Health System, the Ministry of Health, as the best Italian hospital for clinical health. Here are some numbers, because Humanitas is focused on three big pillars, that is hospital, research, and university. We manage as medical technology more than 13,000 machine. We manage also more than 44,000 surgical instrumentation, and we have 42 operating room, 6 MRI, 11 CT, and so on. And in 2024, we will have also our own proton therapy center. What about research? We have high-tech core facility, and one of these, the 3D Innovation Lab, is managed by directly from Clinical Engineer Department. We have also in the university simulation center and an anatomy lab. But how we can manage all this mess, all this kind of technology? We managed, thanks to my team, that here we are, is a clinical engineer corporate internal division. I'm really proud to say this because I believe that corporate clinical engineers is doing better. So we have a technician, we have a laboratory of biomedical technician, multidisciplinary, as it's shown in the picture, and we have also a biomedical engineer as a clinical engineer in the home. And here is our organizational model, how we are organized. We have the peculiarity to manage two kinds of budget. So we are budget owner for the CapEx of the technological medical technology, and we have also the budget owner for the OpEx. Internal OpEx are managed by a clinical engineer that we call technical clinical engineer, because he's manage the internal technician that they are going directly in the first action of all the requests from the hospital, from the university, and from the research. And we solve nowadays around 65% of all the requests internally. We have also some external OpEx that we manage with our budget for the electrical safety check, for the preventive maintenance, and also, of course, for the full risk high technology with the external provided directly with the producer. And we have clinical engineer that we call clinical engineer manager that are going to be, I like to say this because they are going to be the real collector of all the technological needs of the hospital. We divided the hospital in different areas, and each area is managed by a clinical engineer manager, and he's going to have a budget, CapEx budget, and we prepare this kind of investment the previous year for the next year. So in order to have a real programming of whatever we are going to buy. And here is how we play our role in health technology management cycle. Let's start from the acquisition. Of course, we make all our acquisition with this kind of approach. So it's a technical, qualitative, and economical comparison with different supplier, different solution with the same specification. And we are going to make this every time with a focus on the best solution, the best cost-benefit solution. We have also, of course, the testing and the inventory management that we are developed with the QR code on each machine. And this QR code gives us a lot of information, not only for our technician, but also for the clinician, for the nursery. We have all the history because it's connected directly with our management system. So you have all the history of the machine, and you can find also the service manual, the user manual, and whatever information that needs to give as much as we can the continuity of service. This is our purpose, main part. Of course, together, one of the main action is to take care of the safety with the electrical safety check, the preventive maintenance, of course, the corrective maintenance that we like to call hospital in the hospital, because I say usually that we are the hospital of the technology in our laboratory. And we are also starting to speak about predictive maintenance. All this kind of data that comes from the ordinary life of the management of medical technology comes to a dashboard that we develop internally with the business intelligence that give us the possibility to feel the management of all the requests, of all the timing of resolution, of all the costs that we are spending. As I told you before, we are directly responsible for budget, OPEX, and also CAPEX. This kind of support is really important, and we develop internally, I told you before. All this kind of information, they are different nature of data, but it helps also for our support of decision. We develop this algorithm internally because we change the variable we call priority substitution index, and it helps us to choose the substitution of obsolescence of technology that we are going to program in the previous year for the next year. And here also this mission, and we call second life, because all the technologies that comes out from the ordinary life and has still some functionality, we put in the world that we call backup equipment that are always ready and in charge, and also maintenance. We make maintenance for this machine because they are able to enter in the operational way in order to give the continuity of services I told you before. And when this kind of machine has still functionality, but we don't put any more in the backup equipment, we are collecting a single dossier per each machine in order to support some project in development. And here is something that we are going to be very proud, because it's our way to play the role in the value-based healthcare and value-based procurement. Here you can see our pathway of HBHTA, so the hospital-based health technologies. We are let's say, the collector of all the evaluation of impact that innovation technology makes and hospital. So we are going to share with all the different stakeholders as hospital health direction, organizational management, operation management, management control, a dossier that we share with our direction in order to support the decision on the acquisition or what we evaluate. And this is our dossier that we, as always, we collect. And in this kind of pathway, we implement also a KPI control in feedback. After that we make the decision, we have the possibility and the luckiness, of course, that we use our clinical performance information system that we call KPIs. Thanks to this, we are able to measure all the performance the previous performance and the performance with the innovation of every pathway, every unit, every professional also. And like this, we collect and we cover the feedback of the impact, a real impact in our hospital, and we give the feedback to our direction in order to understand if we make the right evaluation or not. And we have also some added value in our clinical engineer department, internal clinical engineer department, because we have also a management of operational technology that now is going to growing very fast, and also the software as a medical device. We collaborate also for every new medical project and also for the re-engineering. We start a new trend here. Some example for operational technology. For example, we buy a new monitoring in the world, smart monitoring, connected directly with our electronic health record, and we measure a lot of advantage for our nurse and for our patient. And we support also some AI introduction in the hospital. In fact, in Humandas, we have also an AI center. Here is an example of how we support medical project, and COVID was a great example, because from February 2020, as COVID, trouble COVID, we in just 11 weeks, we support from a layout proposal until the full equipment and the opening of an emergency center made by 12 places of intensive care unit, 25 places of a normal infection ward, and an emergency department, and also an operational theater of 2 operating room. So the last one is the support of the re-engineering, because this is an evolution that we are going to take care. For example, our central sterile service department, that was a mess, as all every hospital is a mess, but it's a strategic asset. So our direction has to take care of all the engineering internally, followed by our clinical engineer department. So it was not just a focus on the changing and the acquisition of new technologies, washer, sterilization, and so on, but we take care of all the process, all the impact of the process. This strategy. So we change the implementation of a tracking system. We manage all the impact of this on the surgical instrumentation, and we also implement a specific training for personnel of the service. And in less than 3 years, in the next December, we are going to reach something very nice for our hospital. This is the UNI and 13485 certification as a producer of reusable medical device internally. So here is the last thing that I would like to share, because it's something that we are really proud. Was the implementation of a 3D printing innovation lab. I say is an evolution of the clinical engineer, of biomedical and clinical engineer, because we manage directly this new field in the research center. And it's really a nice story, because we start from a clip of some control of the new bed that was always breaking, and this, it was for me unacceptable. So I asked one of my clinical engineer that was fall in love of 3D printing. I asked him, "Are you able to print this kind of piece?" And he said, "Of course, I don't have 3D printing, but if you want, I can do it." I said, "Okay, let's buy one 3D printing." We make this, and we start in 2019. Then COVID it comes. We use the technology in order to print some adapter for a filter, an absolute filter, in order to avoid the expiration COVID in the room for our nurse and for the patient. And we start also to print some medical device in order to support the pre-plating and pre-planning for our clinician, with really nice manuscript, scientific manuscript that we make together with our doctor. And then in next June, we are going to implement other 2 lines of products. One is for the production of phantom for our students, for our university, in order to give them the possibility to have the more feeling with the organ, pathologic and physiologic, with the same texture of the real organ. And another line of production is to print the scaffold for the 3D cell culture for the production of organoids. And the future that is going to come soon is the connection of this 3D cell culture that we are going to print together with the microfluidic for all the world of organ on chip. We believe is the future. So rolling the snowball, we start with the very small pieces, 3D printing, together with different knowledge from doctor, from nursery, from research. We start to make a pathway of something very valuable for the hospital, for the research, and for the university. And now we have built something that is very big. So in order to avoid fall down of the ball, let's say that my take-home message is very clear and very simple. More clinical engineering in the hospital and more hospital with a corporate clinical engineer department. Thank you very much. Luis?
Thank you very much, Paolo. It was a beautiful presentation, and congratulations to you, your team, and of course the hospital. These are great examples of a term that is called intrapreneurship, where innovation happens inside of a company or inside of an organization. And these units can become individual business units that can later be producing and offering services. So this is a great way not only to help build solutions for your own team, but also for other organizations. Congratulations. Let's go on to our next presenter, Ernesto Iadanza, also from Italy. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So let me start sharing my screen. I hope you can see my presentation. Can you confirm?
Yes. Yes, confirm.
Okay, great. Great. So today I'll be talking about this project, which is called Oding Hospital Indoor Compass, which is a project that started just 2 weeks ago, actually. So we are just in the first steps, first days of this project, and it is funded by the European Union. I'll be back to this project in a second. Just a couple of words about me. I've been chairing the Clinical Engineering Division in IFMBE and then the HTA division, and now I'm chairing the Council of Societies. So I'm so happy and proud to see this large community growing up. And so kudos to you all who are organizing this kind of events. My main, let's say, background, well, I'm a biomedical engineer, but my main background is in both clinical engineering, health technology assessment from one side, and machine learning for creating clinical support, clinical decision support systems. Sometimes these, competencies can mix up, and I think this kind of hybridation has been some of the things I've been always searching for. And nowadays, I'm also very much involved in applying semantic technologies and meaning semantic ontologies and the semantic approach to the evidence-based management and maintenance of clinical engineering. So, well, this is the second edition of the Clinical Engineering Handbook, which I published a couple of years ago now. And there are 13 sections where all the leaders come from these communities. So once again, thank you to you all, and from health technology management to human factors to information technology and mobile apps to engineering the clinical environment, which is actually what we will be touching today with this project. The project is part of a larger project, which is called Oding, leveraging AI-based technology to transform the future of the healthcare delivery in leading hospitals in Europe. You can see from those logos, there are some big players here in this large European project. And during the last year, together with colleagues of the University of Warwick, I've been designing this Oding ontology, which is actually a semantic ontology. You can barely see because I know it's quite complicated and the slide is quite small, but you can see that using semantics, you are able to actually represent different domains of, in this case, of a hospital. So you can try and represent the building itself in its stories and spaces and elements and interfaces, but you can also use a different ontology, which is the NCIT, to describe occupation, health occupation, medical occupation, and so forth. But also you can describe quite well something like robots, AI, IoT, which are actually the three pillars where this Odin project builds up. During this period, I've been also defining and realizing and publishing a semantic ontology for the EMDN. You might know that EMDN is the European Medical Devices Nomenclature, which is now in place in Europe. And it started with actually the Italian classification, CND, Classificazione Nazionale Dispositivi. So we are now trying to make this together with WHO in a day-by-day collaboration. We are trying to make this kind of nomenclature interoperable with other standard nomenclatures out there, like VMDN, like UMDNS, and you name one, there are many. Okay, so I am quite convinced that this kind of approach, the semantic approach, which was born to make things interoperable, could be actually something that pays. And this is an Impress article. You are not yet able to see it because it was accepted yesterday. So hopefully in a few days, you'll be able to access this. But I'll send you a link to my LinkedIn later on, so feel free to contact me if you want a draft version of this article, of course. So we are describing here how semantic ontologies could be actually effective for managing and representing complex healthcare structures. And it turns out, with this coping review, there is quite a large number of people who are actually already trying to study or actually implementing this kind of approach in their own hospitals or NHS. And this is just a very brief video of what you could do with this. So this is an example of a hospital. You have your medical device. In this case, it's a bed, and you can query using a semantic query. You might use Sparkle for those of you who know what I'm talking about. So it's a query language specific for semantics. You can query metadata. You could actually try and connect with the manufacturer, and you could also have access to the technical documentation, all using this very standard and very well-known semantic technology, which is the same you're using every day once you use your Wikipedia, for example. Coming to the Ohio project, which is a sort of a sub-project started with an open call in Oding. I'm in charge of this now, together with my department at the University of Siena and the pilot hospital of the hospital Lescotto, the largest hospital in Siena, the third one in the whole Tuscany region, quite a large one. So what's the idea? Navigating the hospital. So we want to integrate the Odin platform, which is a software platform that's an output, a deliverable, an outcome of the main Odin project, with an informative system for clinical engineering, but also for logistics and for disaster preparedness. So we are using some of the tools that for the last 10 years we've been providing to this hospital in Siena, one of which is POT, which is a computer-aided facility management system. The other one is Highway, which is a newer indoor positioning system mobile application. So the main objective is to empower the management of this large-scale pilot and to create new backend applications by leveraging these technologies and tools and platforms from the main project. So, oh, sorry, I skipped one. So what are the benefits? Well, the idea is to measure how we can have decreased failed interventions, lower operational costs, and improve patient safety. And we defined a set of key performance indicators, of course, to measure how this project could actually impact the process of maintenance of medical equipment and how it could support the top management in actually defining some responses to disasters, because you might use this system also for simulations and for being prepared in disasters. This is the pilot hospital in Siena, as I said, quite a large one, more than 700 beds and 21,000 and more ordinary hospitalizations per year. So quite a large hospital. This is the SPOT software I was mentioning earlier, which is now TRL 8, which means more than a prototype, something which has been used for a while in the hospital. It's actually used as a day-by-day tool by everyone in that hospital. And if you want to know more about that, there are a couple of publications. You just grab your QR code here. I'll give you a second if you want. So one is a chapter in the Clinical Engineering Handbook, which is dedicated to this work. The other one is a journal article published on Health and Technology, which is the flagship journal of IUPES. And this is the other tool I was mentioning. So Highway, the indoor navigation system, which again is already in place as a prototype. So that's why you see TRL 7 as a prototype in the same hospital. And also for that, you might find a reference in this journal article we recently published on technology and healthcare. Okay. So what's the idea? The idea is to have preventive and corrective maintenance interventions arranged by using a dedicated backend module we still have to design and realize, of course, by knowing the exact location of devices by a spot. So you will have some specific hotspot collecting areas in the pilot boards where the devices, of course, I'm talking about the movable devices, will be handed over to the technician. So the idea is to prevent rescheduling due to missing equipment or equipment which when the technician arrives, has been used in that moment, or many other things that also I'm sure you're very familiar with during the maintenance of this equipment. So we are trying to streamline by using IoT, by using this navigation tool, and by using the knowledge we have of the hospital, thanks to the CAFTON software, the SPOT software, to realize something like the one it's described in this schematic here. So you have a backend manager application, you have a work list, could be, as I said, both for preventive, but also for corrective maintenance. And then thanks to this indoor positioning system mobile application, the technician will go to the collecting space position where, thanks to RFID technologies, you will instantly know what equipment is there and if it's there or not, and so forth. And also thanks to the IoT BLE beacons, we will have all over the hospital, will be able to track the whole process. So this is mainly the idea. And in this quite complicated schema here, you will see how the Oding platform will be deployed as a local platform instance. And actually many of the connectors and modules of these platforms will be exploited for connecting our tools to this platform. So it's also a very nice demonstration, and I hope that the European Commission is happy about this, a very nice demonstration of how the outcome of a European project could actually be transferred and applied to a live existing hospital full of equipment and people and patients and activities. So in the future, after the end of this project, which is a one-year project, we might also try and combine these tools, the OIO tools, with building information modeling models, with virtual reality, with augmented reality. And by the way, all the things you see in this slide here are actually already there. We already designed these models, and we are already using these models. So I'm quite sure that putting together all these different competencies and technologies, we might actually impact. So the main message maybe is that you will need many different tools, which means many different competencies. And once again, that means multidisciplinarity. So you will need clinical engineering, you will need architects, you will need IT people working together for the same goal. And with this, I hope I was not too long. I think I could close my intervention now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ernesto. It was a great presentation and also a very well example of how systems can help us optimize not only processes, but also link one system with another. A great example of interoperability as well with his relationship. I liked it very much. Congratulations as well. Unfortunately, so Dr. Jitendra won't be able to join us, I think, at the moment, but he has prepared a video presentation which we'll be displaying. So I will invite Carlos to share the screen now and share his video. Let's see if we can pull that up and test the audio to see if we can get a hold of Dr. Jitendra. May I remind everyone? I'm getting a lot of, can you try that again, Carlos, please? Let's try it out. Unfortunately, I cannot get audio on Dr. Jitendra's video. Okay, so I think we will be saving that for the recording so that we can enjoy it with a better quality of sound. And also, of course, if we have some further questions, we can prepare some other session for Dr. Jitendra to join us. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it in time for this presentation. So Carlos, I'm going to ask you to please unshare screen. Thank you very much. And I'm going to ask Ernesto and Paolo to open their mics and address any questions that the colleagues may have as well. I see some questions here, so I'm just going to address them as we go. So I have a personal question that I would like to make to Paolo. I see that there are a lot of projects and innovations that are going on in the hospital. Can you address how the first one was approved? So how did you manage to get this innovation wave in motion so that the hospital started to, let's say, sort of buy these ideas and started investing money in innovating? Because at some point, hospitals might even think that a 3D printer might be more than an expense than an investment. So how did you and your team work this out on the innovation mindset?
Thank you for the question. Very interesting question. And I think that the right way is the programming to make the control. That's why the clinical engineer manager, that is, as I told you before, is the collector of all the technological needs. Technological needs are really wide. If someone is taking care of these technological needs, we have the control of all the needs from all the hospital, all the research, and all the university. And because we are the real manager, because we have the responsibility of the budget for all the hospital, in this way, we are able to collect all the needs, to evaluate the technology, and of course, with HBHTA, we evaluate the innovation in technological technological development. Like this, we are able to evaluate and to choose what we really trust as a benefit for our patient, and also, of course, for the sustainability of the hospital. Because only with the quality, only with the quality, we are able to make the sustainability of the hospital. So the innovation needs to bring quality for the hospital, and like this, we are able the next time to invest again in innovation. This is our way to have a circular programming of the investment, innovation. That's our way.
Thank you very much, Paolo. I will start to say that there are a lot of congratulations for both of your presentations on our Q&A. And also, I will encourage anyone that has any question, please use the Q&A module. And anyone who has a comment, please use the comment section. Okay, so Ashanafi Hussein says, all panelists, thank you for the wonderful presentation. So Dr. Ernesto, is it possible to get the latest copy of your book in soft copy, Clinical Engineering Handbook, and where? So where can we get a hold of this book?
Yeah, sure. It is available online, and I could provide actually the link in chat, maybe. What do you say?
Yes, of course, that would be marvelous.
Okay, I will put it in chat. And of course, it's not for free, and I'm just the author of, I'm not the publisher, unfortunately, but I know there are many possibilities of obtaining discounts and agreements with universities and centers of research. So in case you want me to talk with the publisher, of course, I'm more than happy to do that. And I'll try and find the chat, and there you go. This is the direct link. You can try and see if maybe you already have access through your library.
Thank you very much. Francine says, very much interested to learn more about the Oding platform. It seems like an ideal solution to most of hospitals' challenges in clinical engineering management and logistics. I do agree as well, Francine. Ernesto, you want to comment anything on that regard?
Yes, well, first of all, there are many friends in this project you might be in touch with. One of them is the Secretary General of IFMBE, who is Professor Leandro Pecchia. I know most of you will be in touch with him and will know him. And of course, you can contact me, and I'll put you in touch with all the organizers and provide you with some information. The Oding platform is going to be released in version 2 in these days. I just had this news because I also need the platform for deploying this in in our hospital. So the version 2.0 is coming out, and it will be, this is a bit technical, but it will be available as a Kubernetes file, or maybe in some other Docker's file and so forth. So it might be, and it's completely open as all the outcomes of and deliverables of European projects. So I think it's definitely valuable and worth, giving it a try. So just I put my LinkedIn contact in the chat. So if you want to drop me an email or whatever, I'll be more than happy.
Excellent. Also from Rosana Rivas, excellent presentation, Ernesto. Strategic approach was nicely presented. And she also states, please provide a health technology innovation competitive advantage driven successfully among 2022. Do you want to address that as well, Ernesto?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I got the second. Well, I got the congratulations, and Rosanna, thank you. You're always very kind. What was the question again, please? It
was related to, could you please provide, I assume that it was related to a strategic approach for health technologies that might have emerged in 2022, maybe like a trend for HTM, HTA.
Yeah, they're very much related, and nowadays I think it's still broader. It's not just a matter of assessing and managing the technologies, but it's actually impossible to think to a hospital without its technology. But also the definition of technology is so broad and so large, that it goes from the hardware to the software to procedures, to approaches and so forth. So as I said, at least this is my vision. I think that we need a holistic approach that puts together people who are working in hospital, people who are accessing hospital without working there, and activities and, medical equipment, of course, but also structures. It's a very different thing using the same piece of equipment in a hospital or at home, for example, or maybe in a private structure, like it could be a dentist in a small house, for a series of reasons. The proximity of technicians and the different plants that you're using, and also, for example, the needs for power. I've been working on a project which is called RoverTAC, and I'm not sure I could disclose it, but now I did in front of 150 people, so no problem for that. Anyway, I'm talking about a CT scan on a mobile van. So you can imagine how the same piece of equipment needs a completely different approach when it comes to shielding the radiations and in terms of powering it and the weight and so forth. So context-aware design and context-aware management, I think, is the only way to go.
Excellent. Thank you, Ernesto. I will try again to show Dr. Jitendra's video. I have an alternative to this. So let me go ahead and start sharing. Can you please confirm if you can hear sound, Paolo and Ernesto? Let's see.
Namaste from India.
Okay.
Very happy to be on this panel.
Yes.
But for some unscheduled travel, I had to miss out being live during the session, hence this video recording. I represent ANTZ, world's largest medical technology innovation and production cluster, based near the beautiful beach city in Vizag on the eastern coast of India. We are also your host for the International Congress of Bioengineering this year in November, and I am looking forward to seeing all of you. From a hospital's perspective, the critical role of medical technology has been and will continue to be elaborated by a large number of experts. However, I'm going to take a couple of steps back to tell you the story from behind the scene. What happens when a medical technology gets produced? I'm going to give you a few examples that guides us through the philosophy of providing better access to affordable medical technologies. We all know that an MRI is critically required in large hospitals, reference centers, and how thousands and thousands of patients having neurological, cardiac, orthopedic, and oncological complications require essential services of an MRI. 70% of the critical component and cost of an MRI is the superconducting magnet. AMTC, we derived this problem in a very unique way because just producing MRI may not mean affordable MRI. We established a center for superconducting magnets, which is made, each magnet almost weighing 6 tons, made in a humongous facility, one of our many facilities in this campus. And this MRI superconducting magnet is 60% lower in the cost than most MRI superconducting magnets available globally. That directly impacts the price of an MRI, reducing it by 60%. My next example is from the implant sector. The metal on polyethylene, cobalt chromium, and large number of implants, because in clinical engineering, we tend to give less thematic time to medical implants. These implants are indeed life-saving, from heart valves to orthopedic joints, hip and knee joints, are products of critical importance, which if not delivered to the patient at the right time, can actually impact quality of life and even cost their life. So most implants require a product called ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene, which is used on the lining of the implants to reduce friction. This raw material is available only in 2 places of the world, and the costs are enormous. Once again, our strategy was to produce ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene, which has directly impacted the cost of implants by supplying the right raw materials at the right cost to the makers. I can go on and on with examples with how producing oxygen sensors can help us build prosthetic joints, oxygen concentrators, and so on. Even during COVID, while producing 1,000 oxygen concentrators a day and 1 million RT-PCR test kits a day, we knew the criticality of sensors and printed circuit boards, which may not by themselves be a medical product, but becomes a key driver of medical products. As you see on the screen, we have producibility, a capability to almost make almost 1 million test kits a day, 1,000 machines a day, a couple of MRIs a week, and so on. I'm looking forward to showing all that to all of you while we meet in the Congress. We also make and produce and supply transportable embedded ICUs. These are portable hospitals, and as we call safe zone, a name given to this product, we realize that Zimbabwe has a similar concept of blue box clinic. Thousands of such innovation, and more at the WHO Collaborating Center for Health Innovations at Kalam Institute at AMTZ. We are trying to map innovations in clinical engineering that are seemingly different, but innovatively unique to each other. Sri Lankan clinics, blue box clinic in Zimbabwe, safe zone in India are all similar, transportable, amenity-laced and equipped clinics that can provide relief to patients in rescue missions, in difficult situations, in conflict zones, and during the spread of infectious diseases. I would also touch upon one last point, which is biomedical maintenance in hospitals. We all know that biomedical maintenance can be provided either by in-house technicians and clinical engineers. It can also be provided by the suppliers of medical equipment, wherein various suppliers tend to maintain equipment of only their brand, medical technologies of only their brand. And in the third way, which is contracting the entire basket of clinical devices, medical equipment in the hospital to third-party maintenance agencies. And there are many such agencies across the world. Now, in-house maintenance has its strengths and weaknesses and cost viabilities. Contracting equipment-wise maintenance services to the supplier of the equipment has its own strengths and weaknesses. And super-contracting, as we call it, by giving medical equipment maintenance to third-party agencies for the whole lot of medical equipment in a hospital has its own strengths and weaknesses. But in either of the cases, there are no quality management systems and standards that can be benchmarked and referred. And therefore, we have taken a unique step, being a signatory to IEF, the International Accreditation Forum, AMTZ, along with the Indian Medical Device Manufacturing Association, has brought in, and the TIC Council has brought in the biomedical equipment maintenance certification standards, in which we check, like ISO, we check the competency and the availability of skills, storage of buffer stock of spare parts, and a host of other characteristics that make equipment maintenance quality assured. And therefore, I would love to get questions from you on the equipment maintenance certification standards. These standards are meant for individuals and agencies that are in the field of clinical equipment maintenance, so that we can share these best practices across the world. We can even appoint certification agencies in various parts of the world, which would then certify equipment maintenance agencies based on internationally harmonized norms and standards. This goes hand in hand with the skill certification, because skill certification and process certification together makes clinical engineering viable, safe, and accessible, and helps us in furthering our mandate to promote good quality, safe, affordable medical technologies across the world. Thank you very much, and looking forward once again to hosting all of you in the Clinical Engineering Congress in November this year. Thank you very much, and namaste from India.
We thank a lot of the work shared as well from Dr. Jitendra, and thankfully we could have him on the video, not on in person, but I'm sure that there will be many other opportunities. He did mention, however, this Congress that will be taking place in India, so you better go check out the Global Clinical Engineering Alliance website and the CED website for more information on that. We will be sharing more information via email on CED's behalf, so stay tuned for more information on that. From Fred Hosea for Paolo, and we have 5 minutes for the next 2 questions. In the US, there are strict limits on what repairs can be done by bioclinical engineers, and 3D replacement parts might be invalidate OEM warranty protections. How is this managed at your hospital?
First of all, let me say that for sure, it will be better to manage by our technician than global service technician, this kind of repair. Second, of course, when we were in emergency for COVID, let's say that the analysis of risk we make in order to print this kind of solution, making with all the advantages. So we risk print, but we were printing mostly accessories per part, not internal. We never modifying the internal architecture or the electronic parts of the.
Thank you very much, Paolo. And our last question, we will have Ernesto. From Dr. Anwar Hussain, have any scope to develop a platform for LMICs to open a training session, including certification program? He says he's already conducting a batch, but they asked to deliver a certificate. So how can we encourage them to include women engineer? I believe these are two questions. First one related to how can they endeavor in the clinical engineering certification program. And the second one is to how to encourage more involvement of women in the clinical engineering field. Over to you, Ernesto.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, first of all, I'm happy to meet many friends here, like Anwar. Hi, Anwar. I can't see you, but I have you online. And well, first question. For example, I just designed a new program in management engineering, where I'm trying to teach how to create and design and manage and maintain specific equipment for low middle income settings, and not just countries, but settings. This is one of the distinctions we quite often do. You might have some high income countries with low middle income settings, and vice versa. So yeah, definitely this is just, of course, a drop in the sea, but this is a way to have this kind of information, this kind of tools and techniques and competencies certified by inserting them in university academic programs. And for the second part, as you know, in IFMBE, there's a long tradition with women in engineering, and there is a very, very large and well-attended at all the conferences, for example, committee which is dedicated to women in engineering. And also at the local level, for example, my experiences here in Italy, our colleague Manuela Pendino is very, very happy and with the results she obtained, and she's right, because she started a few years ago with nothing, I would say, and now she has a very large community which is called I'm sorry, I forgot the exact name of the community. Nevertheless, so there are some local initiatives. When I say local, I mean could be also at a national scale, which are somehow federated through IFMBE. So my suggestion is engage with IFMBE, and you can try and connect with all these national initiatives that might be. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ernesto. And it appears to be one last question by Mark Neeson. Hi, Mark. Hope you're doing great. Do you have a suggestion for an Indian Biomedical Engineering Society to become a member of IFMBE? So Ernesto, I believe this would be a question to you. Do you have any advice on that?
Well, I don't. It's not to me. I guess this might be to Jitendra, which of course is not online. Again, I'm happy to see Mark online as well. And yeah, the jokes apart, you know, with the council societies, we have some regional representatives. So this is a question I will move to the RGR for Asia Pacific, and definitely there might be more than one. I guess there might be a biomedical, but also a clinical engineering society in India, and we'll try to get in direct contact with them also by using these events. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. We are 1 minute over our time limit, so we're going to end this webinar. Not before saying that I've added the links to the LinkedIn for Ernesto, Paolo, and myself. I will also ask Jitendra for his link so that I can send it with the email with the presentations and the recording whenever we have the material ready. Hopefully it will be on the next 48 hours as I've already addressed. So last but not least, on behalf of CED, our CED board, and also our CED board chair, Fabiola Martinez, we thank you very much for your participation. We thank very much the panelists for their great presentations and their time invested. And of course, please do follow CED on social media for more invitations for webinars like these. Our audience today was magnific, and we hope to hear from you on our next event. So thank you very much, and we will share to you the the materials and the recording for this webinar on the following days. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you very much to everyone.
Thank you so much. And congratulations, Luis. You're doing great.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Ernesto.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao, Paolo.
Bye.